Hi, everybody. Hello. Yeah, that is on. Okay, good. Hello. Welcome. Thank you. This is wonderful. All of us are so thrilled to celebrate this beautiful book, many of which many of you are a part. So here we are for day 2 of the Oxeye Reader Volume 2 party. Last night at Carthage College there was a lovely reading by several contributors to this, and then tonight, of course, many more. So thank you all for being here, and those of you who are there, and just generally being your amazing selves. Many thanks to Rick Meier for hosting that reading at Carthage. Many thanks to Jordan Dunn of Oxeye Press for putting together this. And many thanks to Jenny Groff and Laura Solomon, editors of this volume. And to everyone who contributed, and to all of you who are just here to enjoy this amazing night of incredible Milwaukee poetry. So this, I should say, along with books by individual authors who are joining us this evening, is available at the front, so please get yourself a copy. It is really beautiful. It's a really incredible collection that, is very aesthetically and otherwise diverse, and it's nice to hear people give voice to all of these various poetic modes. So thank you for that. There's a lot in this intro from Jenny and Laura that is quite nice, but I just want to share this part. As current directors of Woodland Pattern, an epicenter for poetry in Milwaukee, we experience on a daily basis the cultural vibrancy of this place. And we are always eager to bring attention to our city's poets who, in relative geographic isolation, have continually forged their own unique and supportive scene, affirmative of the many sensibilities and poetics to be found here, and reflective of life in a region whose ongoing troubles and triumphs remain largely invisible to the rest of the country. And this is a really beautiful collection of triumphs and troubles. So thank you all, and thank you both. Okay, I'm going to say a few things about upcoming events, and then we'll get us moving, and I can just, sit down, and I don't have to. But there are some really exciting things coming up. Most immediately, this exhibition that has just gone up. As I Fall Asleep to My Great Aunt's Fable of a Herder Boy, work by Namka Enki. It's just beautiful painting, or beautiful artwork that I hope you will come celebrate with us. Words are troubling me this evening. That I hope you'll come celebrate with us this Saturday, November 2nd. The opening reception is going to be 5 to 8 p.m., and there will be an artist's talk, conversation, that will happen during that time. So please come celebrate with us. Saturday, November 9th at 7 p.m. We'll be hosting Isaac Jarneau. This is in celebration of the book 4 Lectures, which collects Jarneau's talks for the Bagley Wright Lecture Series. Incredible book out from Wave, which I highly recommend, and I hope you can join us on November 9th for that. And then I just have to tell you all the thing that you probably already know. The marathon registration is now open, and if you have not registered, please do, because we would love for you to join us this year in person at St. Kate, the Arts Hotel downtown. It'll take place the last Saturday and Sunday of January, the 25th and 26th, as it typically has done for the past few years. But yeah, this time in person. Registration is open now, and for in-person reading now until December 15th. But now is a better time to register. Just, you know. And then I just want to mention one other thing that's, I mean, you know, if you really have to wait, that's fine. But I just also want to mention something newly launched, which is really wonderful, which is the Woodland Pattern Radio Hour, hosted by Chuck Stebelton. There have been 2 broadcasts thus far, and they've been wonderful. 2, right? Yeah, and the third one. And then they go into rotation, okay. And it's Fridays at 4 p.m. on River West Radio. That is, if you're in range, 104.1, or if you are out of range, you can tune in online at riverwestradio.com. So it's like a little journey through the Woodland Pattern audio archives, lovingly curated and hosted by Chuck, which is quite wonderful. So tune in. Okay. I think you have all lucked out, because that's all I have to say, except for a format note, which is that I have for those of you, I'll just reiterate for those reading, and then you can be in on it too if you're not reading, is that I have a list here of everybody's names. This format worked quite well to keep things rolling last night, and if you would simply, when you're done reading, read the name of the person who's following you, and then, you know, rather than me coming up and down, which I don't mind doing, but, you know, it just keeps things running smoothly, and then you don't have to hear my voice for too long. So with that, I guess one other thing I should say, I'm sorry, I keep telling you I'm done, but I'm not, is that I am sorry to say that Vita Cross and Stacy Blint were unable to join us this evening. So wishing them well, and hope there's another opportunity to hear them read very soon. So with that, then, that means our first reader this evening is Susan Fear, whom I'm delighted to welcome.
You'll never know how happy I am to be here with all of you. Before I read 2 poems, I want to personally thank Jenny and Laura for the impressive selection of poems and poets that they gathered for the Milwaukee Reader. I think the poems showcase a sampling of the beautiful and wild energies and attentions and languages and visions that are at work and play in Milwaukee poetry, and which I've always been happy to be a part of for many years. And I'm so happy to be part of the anthology, so thank you for all your work. And to Jordan, too, to create such an attractive book to house all these poems. My God. I'm timing myself to keep myself honest. I'm going to start with a poem from the Reader. It's one where the title is also the first line. I don't know if you've ever had a poem that one word acted like a magnet, and all of a sudden everything started falling on that one word, and this is that kind of a thing. In skunked winds, the rising sun moves north across danger-thin ice signs and returning lake surfers with wetsuits full of alphanumerical identities and boards that tongue out back car windows. Low clouds obfuscate lake, and if not auto-given, are our alphanumerical identities our true biographies? The snowpack is melting, and the 100-year-old harbor seagull tug that took on water has been Lazarus raised from the harbor floor and in for repairs. The pentimento of living in one place a long time. The funeral parlor where my parents were laid out in is a Dunkin' Donuts. There I order one jelly-filled and one with sprinkles. There's a oneness to learn in aloneness. Last summer, a brain was found on a Racine beach, wrapped in tin foil, Am I sounding old like the word petroleum does? It all happens in lake air. Lake winds change colors. Do you know that Arctic reindeer's eyes change colors depending on the season? That we all might be part reindeer. And then I thought I'd read a little, a more recent Shanto. I've always been in love. Some people say Sento, Shanto, both works. Shanto of stone, this is, and I put together quotes from a number of writers who use stones as a kind of cohesive device in a number of their poems. And I think some of you will be, I'm not going to say the list because I think part of the pleasure of a Shanto is if you recognize the quotes. But I am going to say the one that starts with, in every part of every living thing, that's the Lorraine Niedecker quote in here from Lake Superior. So, a Shanto of stone. Is it okay to begin with the obvious? I am full of stones. In every part of every living thing is stuff that once was rock. All stones have luck built in. The bay where I found you sinking into stones, you, famous for believing stones felt joy, I helped you pick the stones. My fingers had the art to make stone love stone. I have seen sparks fly out when two stones are rubbed, spilled among the stones, a future, inch by inch, rock by rock, scratched by hand in stone. It's my pleasure to tell you that Lisa Fishman is the next reader.
You can't imagine how perfect it feels to come after the stones. If you only knew, if you come to my house, you will see how perfect this is. I'm going to read from what's in here, but I thought that I will read the first page of that, because what's in the journal, which I am so happy to be part of, is part of... turned out to be part of a book that is coming out in the spring, and I'll read the first, what precedes what you see in the magazine, and then I'll flow into what's here for a couple minutes. And so this is the very beginning of the work, which is called One Big Time. You could just say, not anything. In the forest, under hemlock, water being going by, meant to write water body, but it came out water being, under tree body. It's different outside, how the ground is warm, springy, moss covered and root traversed, very warm, underfoot, under trees, shade. The borrowed cabin's new laminate floor makes your feet very cold. What else for the loves? The current of the lake is swift, like a river. Is it a river? I ask, but no one says yes, or no one knows, because it is a lake that merges with other lakes. I ask for a map, but none appears. Oops, not quite yet, sorry. Almost. Water being one that flows, flower gets to open in the swim. Morning, night, and in between all day. Day, all a bird sound makes, off to the side. Can't say which direction, but you know, over the shoulder, not far. The names of friends pop in across the page, and then my father's handwriting for a few words, where I see he made his F's and G's different from mine. There's the water moving swiftly, this forest. The next piece works somewhat acrostically. If you hear the letters, I'll try to indicate it, but it's okay if you don't follow the acrostic off the page. Dawn to dusk. Dear anyone, with or without names, to open. Day and night, unselving with shushing wind at however many knots. They do come through you and set you down, Kiger said, seed syllables. You don't see faces in the milkweed, only monarchs, the opposite of kings. Must make time to swim, sleek, widening instance magnet. And speaking of time, T-I-M-E, tremor is many elders, tree is many elders, trying mouth's anterior at the foot of a hemlock over roots. He is giant, the hemlock is a he today. Thank you. And now we'll welcome Reggie Finlayson.
Thank you very much. Got taller. Been a little while since I read, but I've been, as all of you, inundated with all of the political advertisement. And a few years back, I wrote a piece about the election during 2020, and I thought it might be appropriate to begin with that. April 7th, 2020. The clans no longer needed to keep us from the polls. No white citizens' council needed to discount our many votes. No noose with strange fruit hanging needed to make a man afraid. When they've weaponized a virus, throttled our people's will, when they've dismantled all protections and deny right after right. Make America white again, seems the clarion call. As suddenly that time has rolled around again when blood-soaked black ballots are scattered by white hate. Is Wisconsin, Alabama? Has Voss become our bull? Denying allegations, accusing us instead of what we see them do. Trumpeters have put away the hoses, kenneled the vicious dogs, holstered billy clubs and guns, yes, but kept the vile code of undermining all the progress to resurrect the gallant South. The clans no longer needed, but we sure need to vote. I treat my windshield as a monitor sometimes, a screen, all the stuff that goes by. It just amazes me. And this is coming out of that, an untitled poem from what I see on the streets. It has no license, this faded blue sedan, no mirrors on its dented doors, shattered glass where a rear window used to be. A skeletal, Flying Dutchman of a car, haunting potted Milwaukee streets, no more than a dinghy, bobbing on choppy seas, but still it weaves a determined course between the lanes of cars rushing with tidal force, animated by a surfer's fearless spirit navigating rocky shoals. It has no license, this faded blue sedan, piloted so cavalierly by one whose fingers barely touch the wheel. Instead, her polished nails are butterflies fluttering about her, while eyelashes just as long bat percussive punctuation to points she makes to her crew. Perhaps like Ahab after a white whale, a white sail, or a white hot hookup, her store-bought Brazilian tresses whip this way and that as she eyes her doppelganger, just as animated beside her, between infrequent glances at the road, while behind her, under triple down, a teen huddles against the frigid November wind gusting through the shattered glass. The determination, the motivation cannot be known as the vessel veers to a novel course. It has no license, this faded blue sedan. And I'll conclude with one last poem, an observation too, reflective view. One man wants, but can't. Another man can, but won't. And they look at each other like a dog at a phone. What's a man gonna do? Except laugh and push on through. Septon laughed and push on through. So I'll be pushing on through right now. And I'd like to introduce Karl Gartung, who needs no introduction.
I think I'll wrap this and wrap what's in the book in a couple of new poems. Gone, the door down, room behind it, gone, the pages ripped out, the strong, gone. Not what he said, no one understood him. That's not autobiographical. This is really an old poem, but I've always it always tickled me a little bit. There was this little stream that went through the park near the campus where I was going to school, and this actually happened. Kicked A bunch of leaves, last autumn's dead, into a spring stream. Watched a fleet convoy cracky dry. Would any make it through the ripple uncapsized? Nope. But seriously, all their needs be said. There, he said. Somewhere one is gone. I can still see my father's dimple in his chin, in my green son's chin, seen. My mother gone 30 years later, part of the legacy. None of them actually speaks to me, and they never can, though in times of crisis they enter the room. The purple ash trees, fugitive leaves, in tent city, for poets, some words, this is actually probably 2 poems, but for poets, some words are not allowed, particularly for me, like, for instance, as if. 50 years realized an anniversary, touched her arm in bed as if it had always touched, as in a dream. Let's see here, Mike Hauser.
Yeah, thanks so much for bringing this into the world, Jordan. It's a really beautiful book. It's really great to be here. Hi, everybody. Okay, I need bifocals. Sample. Switches pounce on the basis, porch, feelings, tulip bubble after tulip bubble. A parking lot sprouts. Ancestry DNA commingles the lion-hearted idea. The sun is trying to come out. Life is like this, endlessly complex. Hold each part to harsh light. If I don't get to have this Verilux lamp at my face at least a few minutes, I'm fucked. To be the French, champagne of past and present, stationed on elongated futures, and Orson Welles of the maple syrup moment. Conditions trace paths wet with dew, offering cybercrime protection. The road to Zion narrows. At where? Ohio? Easy caroms of pure language thread, pole to pole to pole, movements of elk populations, should an interpreter nonplussed guess at willing participants, mountainous arrays of color, life, they think, a father coming borderland. Sample. Prescott, this company, and not of this office of smiles, ukulele while you wait, syllabic contours of the recording for your nervous suggestion. The catastrophe referred to, covered by event insurance, Jeffy Bobby, moon over Endor's eclipse by collapsing labor law, moon over my claim, obscure bandits download my Hemi, the engine of this fortunate and infinite recurrence. Hi, baby girl, love you, don't forget your stock of seated ambient clips for Gerald. A new car in the shade of poorly maintained socialist-era bus shelters. By the time I go to bed, I brush my teeth. I like TV better than being vaporized. The frames of signifiers flood themselves, liking not to make din. They smoke marijuana and trade in peace bees. The bunny of recurrence now, a jackalope of engine and economy, living in a territory named Kowloon. He's a drifter mechanic. Thanks, everybody.
Next up, but this is actually a nice occasion to check and see one thing I didn't note. Is Elias here? Elias Sepulveda?
Yeah.
Elias. I'm sorry, Sepulveda. I know you're here. Okay, no, okay. That's something else I didn't note at the top. So we'll go from Alea then to Chuck after that. But right now, it's a great pleasure to welcome Ann Kingsbury.
How's that? Can you hear me? Okay. First of all, I want to thank Jordan and Laura and Jenny, both for putting the content together and making it beautiful in the way the book is laid out. It's a great to keep company with the other writers and artists that are included in this book. Okay, I'm better known probably for my visual work, and I don't claim to be a writer, but I do like a good sentence. So here are several short entries from various lists and journals. Number 1, in 1980, there were a series of burglary attempts at our house, as well as a break-in at Woodland Pattern. I got tired of it. I planned retaliation. Thieves, be ye cursed. May ye gain no joy with that which is not rightfully yours. May your hands scald. May your eyes burn. And your nails grow inward and pierce your flesh. Number 2. This is a short story for Karl. And you need to know that our cat Nene was entirely black, although it doesn't matter. But Karl's very long day. Every morning, Karl gets up between 5 and 6. The cat, Nene, jumps off the bed and tells him she is hungry. He tells her his back hurts. The day begins. And last, number 3, this is from a new project, an in-progress menu for special guests. Appetizers, crispy procrastinations dipped in sweet and sour guilt. Raw wound tartare. Main courses, weak forgiveness broth. Cherished heirloom bridges. Overdone morals with soggy dressing. And finally, dessert, sour grapes and candied fruit flies, followed by lightly sweetened defensive retorts. Bon appetit. And Mike is, which one?
Oh yeah, so next is Alea Samone.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Well, hello. It's good to see everybody. Hi. Hi, you look so great. I was not so fortunate to be in the Oxeye, but I'm glad to be here with you today. So I've got 3 pieces with you here with me today. And like the Stones, there's some cohesive themes through the 3 pieces, so look for those. See if you can enjoy the ride. Grave. Like a wish on a star, I felt my lips kiss a prayer into my palms. I pressed my palms together to shake hands with the universe, and like a hymn sang in a church's pew, I heard the call of my lover's voice on the wind, a simple way to wake me from this entrancement. Lost in the twinkle, my gaze fixed on the majesty of it all, the darkness, until my ears felt the prick of your tone, sweet, then sour, like the hymn went rotten, like you ain't have no grace left, like I lift my head to see your face, far less holy than I remember, but somehow more sovereign, grave, somehow more lost than I, like a wish on a star. I felt my lips kiss a spell into your mouth. I pressed my tongue against yours to see if it tastes as bitterly as you spoke my name. I heard the curse casted in my lover's voice on the wind, a simple way to keep me from waking from this coma like a backhand wielded mercilessly across the face. I taste the copper, the sulfur, the cayenne, rose, and ash on your breath, feel my nose bleed, a sad omen I would have seen coming if it weren't for the twinkle of the stars. But he felt like love and concrete, like gravel and granite and dust and sand, all worn and mangled, downtrodden and forgotten. You are the evil I avoided. I fixed an eye of gold over my own, fashioned in blue. I prayed the invocation of the dead, tasted the honey and poured the wine, whispered hymns and offered breath over this flame of love, burning, burnt to ashes, let it die here. See the flame fly higher than a herd can take you, higher than ceiling and spaceship pull you into the ether like a ghost. Apparition man of disillusionment, illuminate the way I should not tread, leave you behind like the scent of smoke. See the clouds billow over your body like Bronx brownstone, pick your bones, pick your teeth. I drove my heels into the ground, then up again to smash them down and crack and crack and crack, grind the concrete back to gravel, to granite, dust and sand, buried him beneath and thanked the earth, planted lemongrass and lavender in tombstone's place, closed the prayer with the sucking of teeth and a moan so deep, gave gratitude for the broken and dusted my hands, cackled in a light of the moon like a fool. Fool, I am full, complete, I am complete, whole, I am whole, and you are the evil I avoided. Ah, you think yourself so clever. And I sang my own song, pressed my lips into prayer, sang loud and open, and you heard my song and came to me. And you lifted the veil, took it right off my head and grabbed me by the shoulders and slung me into your hold and did away with my fins, sewed up my gills, gave me these wobbly toothpick-looking things and asked me to swim. You heard my song. You called me a thief of men, said you weren't to blame because my song was so loud, so open. You couldn't help yourself. Said I lured you in, said I gnashed my teeth, said I was a sight unseen, a woman so free, who could possibly love me? And you cast me away, limp, called me demon, scorned, crazy bitch, call me mother. And still I sing loud and open and scared and scarred and sacred and secret and mine. All mine. Next we have Chuck. Come on up.
Should I? Okay. So I have 4 pieces in the reader, 2 portraits from the series of portraits of poets with binoculars. And I'll read, in lieu of those, a couple poems from this pamphlet, Westerly. But first, I want to read the second half of 40 Object Oracles in the reader. And this was made for the 40th anniversary. And it's snapshots from photographic memory. 40 Object Oracles. The glory hole in the gallery floor. Is that wool hat my hat? Why, my left leg is hot. Deer avuncular antler poster. Dot matrix diving into the wreck. Black triangle photo corners.
20-year-old me on a tour bus to Delphi in brown wraparounds in black and white orange BB King tea, pre-Socratic catfish. Minutes Books poster, Louis Freedman, Pretend to Think. Lisa Robertson, The Men. The beaded curtain I took home when the front office came down. Silko or glancy cacti. The new arch between front room and stacks, now a decade and a half in place, begging inscription. We are travelers, and that is where we stay. Robin Blazer on Elizabeth's kitchen arch. Take me to the River Billy Bass plaque that Robin Blazer gave Anne. Anne's timer, ping, the brass lamps, the enamel counter, 3 fingers of latex paint closing the gallery walls in, grayscale, the cut glass for framing, the glass block shelves, receipt carbons, the constraint of purchase, the chance operation of browse. Westerly. Avocets huddled tight, all facing the wind. Avocets are these elegant shorebirds that show up here maybe once in the spring. Westerly. Avocets huddled tight, all facing the wind. Their upturned bills, their slender blue legs, their cottonseed eyes squint shut from below. All face the sand that blows straight at them. Then the front 3 pairs peel off to the rear of the huddle. The huddle shifts perceptibly south. Then all march forward the distance of a pair. Their tannin-rusted chests sand-blasted white. A westerly pins them on their annual overnight. Easterly. Across the river, the winter wren, easterly. Westerly, golden-crowned kinglet singing, he is Riz. And I'll close with a parenthesis of cherry, and this comes from a walk. Rebecca Solnit was here, and I had the good fortune of walking her back to her place at Kenilworth. She wanted to have breakfast at Ma Fisher's, of all places. A parenthesis of cherry for Rebecca Solnit. A cherry lifesaver, Waylon, an anecdote, once gave you, a cherry lifesaver. And when you told it, I asked if you kept it. You said, no, it's oral history. And next is Chelsea Tadeyeske. Welcome, Chelsea.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I'm very pleased and honored and tickled to be here. This is such a beautiful book. I think I'm going to reverse it and read a few newer pieces from a new project called Orange Poems. I think I saw a few of them up there. We're in this weather together. It's on brand right now. And then I'll close with a piece from the reader. Thank you again. They're all called the same thing. Orange Poem. How does a mind wander? How does a bone bend? I'd like to be immortalized by my hoof print. Love is dead after you've fucked too many times to remember each of them individually. Eating is more enjoyable after you skip a meal. How do you measure time? I've never been celibate. Just lazy. You can't eat when you're asleep. And I don't know who to thank for that. I don't think I ever asked to be a child, but I miss it. The beauty of a bare field, the beauty of a whale exploding. So, oh gosh. Okay. Orange poem. I wish you would stop crying when I do nice things for you. My bottom row of teeth is crooked, you see? One tooth on top is slightly pushed out of line. I'm aware of this every time I smile. I've given up hiding things with my hands. Sleep doesn't save me from exhaustion. I don't like my name. The sunsets appear pinker. And that plucks my chest. Okay, one more from here. Orange poem. We watch a bird swallow a starfish as if to choke itself. You spit in my mouth. The tallest tree in the world might be a redwood in California. In LA, you rarely see clouds. In Indiana, there is no sea. The way people pose when you tell them, look natural. If there's a lie you have to keep telling, well, that'll become like a child to you. The trash can is full. The area around the trash can, that's also full. All right. I've never read this out loud. It's called Starvation. I view figures in the distance as having faces I once knew and loved and made laugh and cry. There are limits to what we can do, but not to what we can think. I own my own chaos on my floating rock. A clump of hyenas gnawing on a tired lioness. Objectivity is a privilege. What happens to hope in a sucked-up desert? My grandma's nipple is her youngest-looking feature. A fissure inside of me is splitting. Do we need miracles to keep surviving? It takes a while for the sun to warm things up in the morning. That's it. But before I leave, I want to make mention that I host a poetry reading series called Bell Tower. There's one coming up on Sunday. We have Nate Lippin's reading, who I believe read here about a year and a half ago, opening for Eileen Miles. We also have Alex Miemi, who's a local poet and translator here, also read at Poetry in the Park, this last iteration of it. Taylor Lewandowski and Joe Barshi from Indianapolis and Chicago, respectively, 7, 8 o'clock at my house. If you don't know where that is, come and ask me, or follow Pity Milk Press on Instagram or wherever, Ask a Poet. Thank you for having me. And it's my pleasure now to introduce Angela Voras-Hills.
Thank you so much for including me in this gorgeous
This is lovely. I'm so happy to be here. I will read a poem from the reader and then 2 other poems. The mannequin waits in line at the Steve Malcolmus show. Capacity 200, place sold out. A boy looks through her bag, husband empties his pockets. Everyone is her age or older, which makes her feel young. How many will rush home to pay the babysitter, sneak in a quick fuck in the front seat, or pretend to be asleep before their partner gets to bed? Security surrounds the stage. She looks past the wall of yellow shirts for the bathroom, searches for exits, considers how the sea of bodies will crash if a man pushes through with a gun, how the crowd will panic and trample their way toward the only exit she can see, and just then a collective shift. To her left, a woman in a black dress, long black hair, collapses, falls straight back onto the bodies behind her. A group gathers, pulls her gently up from the concrete floor, brings her to the door, fans her with whatever they find. Security brings bottles of water, waits for the ambulance. The guitar doesn't skip a beat. The mannequin sits among the ruins of her Barbie dream house. She always dreamed she'd play Barbies someday with her daughter, rebuild the house her mother handed down with its plastic picket fence and cardboard walls, the 2-dimensional stove, shelves, and plants. She'd kept it in the basement bins and waited for her daughter to be old enough to understand their hair won't grow back, their proportions aren't possible, their bodies aren't intended to bend the way a person's can. But by then, the girl had established Lego villages with girl minifigs running pop-up smoothie shops, snowboarding at ski chalets, lounging together in cabanas, and the bins were emptied onto the playroom floor, accessories scavenged for other plastic houses. It's been months since the Barbies have been abandoned, and the mannequin knows it's time to clean up the house and its parts, the half-dressed dolls, the old Ken with actual hair she'd cut into a mullet, who'd rubbed his molded body into Barbie while she slept, the Ken who became a stalker/serial killer, followed Barbie's pink camper into the woods, the Ken Barbie married at least 100 times, the white dress, the tux here too, in the mess of a childhood she now packs back up, a childhood she's relieved her daughter won't grow into. And this one is for the spooky season, monsters. Fuzzy black pillow beneath my bed, dress bunched on closet floor, raccoon on the roof. You were everywhere in the dark. Your body, a buck gutted, hanging by its neck in the garage, tongue dripping blood as it swings. A man with a gun in camo, red eyes, yellow skin, ankle deep in rotten apples. Like a centipede beneath a pile of damp clothes, you reveal yourself to my constant surprise. Creature circling my legs in the lake, beast at the bar sweating yeast and hops, trying to undress me with your wallet. You don't shift shapes, but inhabit sneakers, poking from the hem of jacquard drapes, the bodily outline inside them. Obscure shadow on the ultrasound, MRI's wide white mouth, its excessive light. The doctor who scoffs at the woman who wants both breasts removed. The red-faced man in Hawaiian shirt cramming a too large bag in the overhead bin. Is that you in the unmarked patrol car?
Under your trench coat, you fumble your zipper, pick up speed through the street, climb 3 flights of stairs, face puffy as you catch your breath at the top. You're that man, and the girl too, standing by the truck bed's beer keg, watching a man lead your friend into a cornfield. So dark, only frogs and crickets sing. You're the pop and crackle of that bonfire, smoke settling over the meadow like a dark cloud. Thank you. John Katie. Last.
Thank you. I'm sorry I had to be a little late, but thanks for waiting. And I have a new book coming out next year called Cemeteries and Galaxies, and I'll read the title poem from that book. Cemeteries and Galaxies. I like to drive around and I like to read. The countryside I drive around has cemeteries full of what were individual lives. The books I read are filled with stars so far away they're barely real. We like to try to think of them as on a par with individual lives like ours surrounding distant versions of our familiar sun, as though billions of light years away someone similar to me were sitting at his desk out in the country, trying to imagine what those lives like his are like, wherever they are. You've only to describe it to realize it makes no sense, and that its line of speculation is of probabilities gone mad, combining what we can't explain about ourselves with visions of a cosmology we can't even begin to understand. The world is everything that is the case. Yet there are different kinds of worlds. The one I know that ends with me in death, and the one I hope at some point in the future will describe, but that only exists in my imagination now, as it does in yours. Worlds that can't accommodate each other, though we have to try. They're both too close or else too far away to comprehend, which makes them equally unreal. Although between the two of them, they're all there is. Those gravestones down Cast Cemetery Road are monuments to transience, to a human past that seems so tangible it isn't even past, as Faulkner said, because it's merely a reflection of my own life and of yours, until our lives are over and it ends. I wish there were a different way of being, though there is. Indifference, which resembles them as death resembles life. It's just that once this sense of wonder at yourself and the world begins, it simply goes on until its initial impulse is exhausted and it starts again. I realize that I'm repeating myself. It's what this kind of speculation makes you want to say, and why you can't be sure it's even real. Who cares if everything is mere appearance? Whatever speaks to you is what you have to say as long as it lasts, until that testament to life falls silent. The sense of what you are ceases to matter and it goes away. The universe behind it is a different matter. It never goes away, but its components don't add up, and we can't imagine where or what it is. Kant thought we can't know anything about it, and even though we do, he was right in a sense, since most of what we know is made up of equations we don't really understand, but that we keep on trying to believe, the way we keep creating pictures of the stars in our own minds, which is where they are, because the real ones make up a universe we can try to imagine but can't see. The laws that govern it are supposed to remain the same forever, and yet forever is a creation of our collective mind and not a word that's written in the stars. As cemeteries are to individual lives, so galaxies are to individual stars, reminders of their insignificance, and not just because there are so many of them or because they're so far away, but because it's so difficult to make sense of anything beyond this moment. Sitting at your desk and trying to write another poem about it, wondering whether anyone can really understand their life or a universe beyond the eternal present, which is where you are. Thanks.
Wow. Thank you so much. Beautiful readings, everybody. One more time for everybody. Thanks to everyone who read this evening, last night. Thanks to Jordan. Thanks to Rick for hosting the reading last night. Thanks to Jen and Laura and all of you. And stick around and enjoy the good company. Good night, everybody.